Hello, my name is Jason Lowry.
And I'm Mark Tony.
And this is the Parkland Podcast.
Yeah!
It's the Parkland Podcast with Jason and Mark. It's the Parkland Podcast with Jason and Mark. They got plenty to say. They got plenty of heart. On the Parkland Podcast with Jason and Mark. It's the Parkland Podcast. Yeah, the Parkland Podcast. It's the Parkland Podcast. Yeah, the Parkland Podcast with Jason and Mark. Jason and Mark.
There we go, another Parkland Podcast, and this is episode 36. I was talking to some people this week, and one person, I guess, introduced me to their spouse and said, he's started a new podcast with Mark Tody, and their spouse said, no, you're up to episode 36, right? So I thought that was pretty cool, and it's been a great run, and it continues to do pretty well, and we appreciate you for making that happen.
Approaching our 1-year anniversary in a couple of months.
Oh man, what are we going to do for that?
I don't know, flowers, roses, candy.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to Ike's Revival Florist maybe,
Yes,
and they can give us some
yes.
advice on that. In this episode, it's brought to you by Parkland Pharmacy. Discover Farmington. Save a lot of the Parkland, Heimberger Construction, Hearing Care Partners, and Boozen Bark Carpet. And I think we have a very interesting set of interviews today that a lot of people are going to tune in for.
If you're in Farmington and you want to know about the mayor's race, this is the episode, as we'll have both candidates here on the podcast.
Both Mitt Landrum and Chris Morrison will join us. And Mark, we have two candidates who know a lot about the city of Farmington. And I know sometimes I've said this and I haven't really meant it. I really believe that either one of these gentlemen will do a very good job for the city.
Totally agree. I like both of these gentlemen very much, and I think they're both qualified to do the job. So it'll be interesting to hear what each of them has to say about their vision for Farmington and its future, and it might help you make your mind up.
Yeah, absolutely. And we encourage you to vote. I know early voting is about to get underway. There's a deadline coming up in March if you're not registered yet to vote. And again, not just Farmington that has the mayoral race this year, also a 3-person mayoral race in Park Hills, 2 people running for the title in the city of Deloge. We have school board issues, school board contested races in the area, some contested alderman races in the area. And again, this is the politics that will affect you the most. These are your local representation. And all these people running for office, they want to talk to you and they want to let you know how they feel about things. So get out there and find them. And make sure you tune in for our election night coverage. That's coming up on April the 8th from Election Central. And then finally, how about our Heart of the Parkland promotion? The fine folks at Pasta House and Ike's Florist. We had our winner, and I should have had this looked up right now. I know she's a teacher in the West County School District.
Awesome.
And she was the winner. I know she got her flowers, and Ike's got right in there, was texting, and I'm sure Nancy took care of her at the Pasta House as well. Okay, here's where radio guys like,
This is called fill time now.
Fill time. So anyways, let me tell you a story about, so Heart of the Parkland went very, very well. We had our Facebook Live that I did from, was that in my bathroom? No, I was in the living room. And our winner of the event, as my phone continues to update, was Kelsey Bourbon. Kelsey, a teacher in the West County School District. She had like 170 likes on her picture.
She's got a lot of friends.
Yeah, and then Jordan Elders finished 2nd, Kayla Jackson 3rd, Sammy Layton 4th, and Maddie Swearingham 5th. Debbie and Hoghead Holsey made the top 10 as well, so it's good to see Hoghead.
Yeah,
on there.
way to go, Hoghead.
Way to go. So again, they got a dozen roses from Ike's, and they got a $100 gift card from the Pasta House. And make sure you're paying attention to the Facebook page, because we're going to be doing these again. Mother's Day, Father's Day, National Pet Day. I think the pet one would go over really well. And then here I am giving out all our ideas over the podcast.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, write those down. All right, give me some music trivia.
All right. Original names for bands.
Ooh, okay.
This band was originally known as the Polka Tulk Blues Band
Oh my.
before becoming a band that just about everybody's heard of.
Oh wow. The Polka Tulk Blues Band, would that have been ZZ Top?
No.
No.
Black Sabbath.
Oh my.
Black Sabbath.
I know they got the name from a movie poster. That Ozzy saw a movie poster for this movie, Black Sabbath, and that's what he went for with the name change. Wow.
All right, let's see if you do better here.
Okay.
This group was known as the Spiders and the Naz before becoming,
The Who.
no,
Oh.
they were the High Rollers.
Oh.
Alice Cooper.
Oh,
Alice
that's right.
Cooper.
The Spiders, yeah.
Yeah, very good stuff.
Okay.
And let's see. REO Speedwagon stands for,
Oh God, I have no idea.
I didn't either, don't feel bad.
Okay.
Ransom Eli Olds, who founded the REO Motor Company in 1904. The company built trucks until 1967.
And then they made the Speedwagon.
Yeah, I guess that's. Hey,
That's pretty good. Oh man, those were some tough ones. Anything exciting happened to you this week? Did you go anywhere, do anything?
Been a very quiet week. Too cold to really get out and do much.
Yeah.
I missed Night to Shine. I helped out with that a couple of years ago, and I know you were a big part of that, and I understand it was a huge hit.
Oh man, we had a good time. There were students there from Central, Farmington, Bismarck, Potosi. It was a great night, and kudos again to Christy Scott and Rocky Good. Although Rocky parked in my parking spot, and Jeff Kreitz was actually going to do something about it. He's like, hey, that's Larry's spot. But it was okay because Rocky was running late. He had to make sure he had the shimmering gold jacket on. But he was there, and he parked in my spot. But that's okay. It was a great time. Always fun.
Rocky is one of the best people you will ever deal with.
Oh, absolutely. And then my parents' 50th wedding anniversary was Saturday night, and we went to the Pasta House, had the back room, invited cousins and friends and family, and had a great time celebrating Mom and Dad to the day, 50 years to the day, and lo and behold, eight months later, I came along.
Happy anniversary to those two lovebirds.
Yeah, they still tolerate each other. They really, really do. But congratulations, Mom and Dad. That's awesome. Speaking of awesome, do you have a totally awesome radio story?
Well, I hesitate to tell this, but I'm going to anyway because it does involve Rocky Good.
Oh, okay.
And I have told this story numerous times, so by now I'm sure he's okay with me saying this, but I should have gotten his permission first.
Okay.
Big blood drive. Rocky was there to donate blood, as he does a lot of times. You got to fill out the questionnaire. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and the gal is asking him questions. Have you ever done this? Have you ever done that? Have you ever been here? And then at one point, the lady behind the desk for the Red Cross goes, have you ever paid for sex? And Rocky looked at her and said, do I look like the kind of guy who has to pay for sex? One of the greatest lines I have ever heard. Even better because it came from Rocky.
Yeah.
And that's just something he would say. He is so funny. I love
Do
that.
I look like?
That is a Rocky Good story at one of our radio station blood drives.
And what did the lady say after he said that? Do you remember?
She just kind of jaw dropped.
Oh, there you go.
It was great.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Rocky.
Thank you, Rocky, for
That is a
contributing.
great, totally awesome radio story. Booze and Bark Carpet, Booze and Bark Trailer Sales, boozeandbarkflooring.com, the website, you know the name. They've been at it for so long, and there's a reason why they continue to do it and do it well, because they know what they're doing when it comes to those areas that they are experts in. And don't just take it from us. Other people have the same opinion.
Yeah, I'm on the boozeandbarkflooring.com website, and I'm reading some of the reviews. The whole process from start to finish was very easy. The countertops are beautiful. That was one review. They did a wonderful job with our granite countertops. I highly recommend them. Amazing work with Busenbark. Oh my gosh. Blair is very professional and an asset to her company. Beautiful place, quality flooring materials and installs. Brock was our salesman and was just fantastic, and I could go on and on and on. Don't take our word for it. Those are actual customers of Busenbark Flooring talking about how great they are.
Hey, great time to get that project started now to spruce up your home so it's nice and beautiful for the spring coming up when you have folks come over. So check out everything that you can get at busenbarkflooring.com and wave at us on the billboard.
Yes, I love that.
What's the thing you do? I think you like point or something.
Yeah, well, I don't know what we're doing, but
we're having a good time. So big thanks to busenbarkflooring.com. Go check them out today. Heimberger Construction, heimbergerconstruction.com. They have been building beautiful buildings in our area since 1978, Mark Tody, and they have those Butler buildings.
Oh, the Butler buildings are the best metal building system on the market, and the only buildings that have a pre-punched roof system and standard 360-degree roof seam for their standing seam roof. Jennifer Heimberger, who runs Heimberger Construction, does a fabulous job, and she really cares about the area. She gets involved in a whole lot of things in the community. I know she's supporting a Little League baseball team. That's one of her current things, which is just really awesome. So Jennifer, she's been to a couple of Kansas City Chiefs football games, which makes me really jealous.
Yeah, and I feel really bad for her. I hope she's gotten over the loss.
She's still a little bitter, but aren't we all?
Exactly. Anyways, HeimbergerConstruction.com. Check out the beautiful work they've done, not only around the Parkland, but around the region. HeimbergerConstruction.com, 431-4387. Here's your news on the Parkland podcast. 2 Farmington school buildings were placed on lockdown Thursday night when a shooting was reported at a downtown laundromat. Both Washington Franklin and Truman Auditorium were locked down. According to a news release from the Farmington School District, no one was harmed at either building, and the Farmington police are investigating the incident.
A longtime city and banking leader was laid to rest this past week. Jim Eaton died on February 9th at the age of 84. Eaton was Bonne Terre's first city manager. The Bonne Terre Economic Development Community, which helped bring the prison to the area, was a big part of his duties. He then returned to the city as the interim city administrator in the early 2000s after spending numerous years with the banking industry.
Grant applications continue to be accepted for the United Way of St. Francis County. We'll have Executive Director Suzanne Baker on next week's episode to highlight that process.
The state of Missouri is looking for nonprofit organizations to help thousands of children during emergencies and when school is out for the summer. If you can help, you need to contact the Department of Health and Senior Services.
In business news, a new grocery store about to open in the city of Deloge. Aldi will start serving customers on February 26th. This is the second Aldi location in St. Francis County.
A well-known Parkland business is apparently for sale, according to social media reports. The owners of General Custards have announced this week that they are selling the property and everything tied into it. The business has been open since the 1980s.
The state of Missouri is taking Starbucks to court, saying it is violating federal and state laws prohibiting race discrimination. Locally, the only Starbucks we have is in Farmington.
And Mineral Area College is pleased to announce that President Dr. Joe Gilgore has been named one of the 4 finalists for the American Association of Community Colleges CEO of the Year Award. The winner will be announced in April at a ceremony in Tennessee.
And that's your latest news right here on the Parkland Podcast. Parkland Pharmacy, local pharmacy at its finest. They're in Deloge, Farmington, Fredericktown, Ironton, Piedmont, Greenville, and they are the personal pharmacy of both Mark Tody and I, but we have separate accounts.
Hello, Julie Berghaus. Hope you are doing fantastic today. I was just there on Friday, as a matter of fact, getting some prescriptions filled and Boy, if you're starting to feel the winter blahs and you're starting to get that cold and the flu that's been going around, they're the folks to see. They can help you out. They are a complete pharmacy. In addition to getting your prescriptions filled, they've got all the little extras that you need for cold and flu and things like that.
And customer service, you will not find better customer service anywhere in just about any other industry. They are that good. Parkland Pharmacy, Deloge, Farmington, Fredericktown, Ironton, Piedmont, and Greenville, proud sponsors of the podcast. We welcome to the Parkland podcast one of our newest sponsors, Hearing Care Partners. Dr. Karen Melton and the great staff there ready to take care of you. And Mark, they have a lot of great ways to improve your, not just your hearing, but your quality of life.
Quality of life for sure. Some people have hearing problems that are so gradual and coming on, you don't even realize that you have them. And that's where Karen Melton and her staff can take care of you. They are wonderful people to deal with. I've been in their business in Farmington on several occasions, and they are awesome. So not only will you get state-of-the-art care for your ears, you'll be treated like you matter, which is a wonderful thing. So Hearing Care Partners, we can definitely recommend them for any of your hearing aid needs or just hearing needs as a whole. Karen Melton and her staff will treat you right.
There's been so many technological advancements recently, and they are right on top of these AirPod Pros that amplify the sound around you. So many neat inventions. They're so small, you don't even notice they're there anymore. And again, the folks at Hearing Care Partners can help find what's best for you and your ears.
They're located at 620 Walton Drive in Farmington. They have several locations. The phone number is 866-757-4327. Check them out at hearingcarepartners.com.
Hearing Care Partners, our newest sponsor on the Parkland podcast. Here are your events presented by Discover Farmington, more than you ever imagined. DiscoverFarmingtonMo.com allows you to find out more about entertainment, dining, outdoor activities, wineries, and more.
Farmington, Missouri, your destination for a perfect weekend getaway. Dine in at one of our quality restaurants or visit one of our surrounding wineries. Farmington offers a variety of parks and other recreational leisure time activities. See some sights, have some fun, and go wherever your heart takes you. Sounds like a lot of fun, so get a room and stay a while. All this and more awaits you just 60 miles south of St. Louis. Discover Farmington today.
Looking for a good meal? Mom's Cafe will be open this Wednesday at the Methodist Church in Farmington, weather permitting.
Grant applications now being accepted for the United Way of St. Francis County.
Lots of blood drives coming up. One on Thursday at Parkland Chapel Church at 1:30, on the 27th at the American Legion Hall in Farmington, and then on the 28th at Farmington High School.
February 22nd is Frosty Fest at Charlottesville Brewery and Winery. Sample beer, brewery tours, appetizers, and more. CharlottesvilleMo.com, the place to get tickets.
Twin Oaks Winery will feature the music of Mountain Mishta February 22nd at the Glass House.
Also on that night, a trivia night to benefit the Farmington FFA chapter will happen at 6 o'clock that evening at the Lincoln Elementary Cafeteria.
I hope to be playing in that trivia night.
All right.
Coming up on February 28th, there's an 80s trivia night hosted by the Deloge Chamber of Commerce starting at 6:30 at the Lincoln Street Event Center.
On March 8th, Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus,
Woo-hoo!
the musical. You can purchase your tickets at the Farmington Civic Center box office, 756-0900. Tickets are $10 for adults, only $6 for kids.
There's a big mouse race coming up at St. Joe Catholic School in Farmington on March 8th.
On March 14th, a trivia night for the Farmington Education Foundation happens at 6:30 at the Black Knight Fieldhouse.
And the annual Michael Bryan and Carol Moore Jazz Festival is Saturday, March 15th at 7:30 at the college, featuring Steve Wiest. Tickets are $15.
Also on that day, the 4th annual Last Minor Riding Mountain Bike event happens at St. Joe State Park. That starts at 9 o'clock that morning.
St. Francis County Rotary Club annual mouse races, March 15th at the MacTech building.
Farmington High School Theater Guild presents the musical The Addams Family, the Musical, March 20th through the 23rd, 7 o'clock each night at Truman Auditorium.
There's a big trivia night for the SEMO Family Violence Council, March 28th at St. Paul Elementary Gym.
And Elvis Meets the Beatles coming to the Centene Center on April 26th at 7 o'clock. Should be a great show, Mark.
Should be a dandy. I like both those acts.
Tickets are $20 in advance or $30 at the door. And again, you can call the Civic Center box office at 756-0900. And those are your events presented by Discover Farmington. Find out about local events. Even book a wedding or day trip today at discoverfarmingtonmo.com. Save a lot of the Parkland there in Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Potosi, Park Hills, Farmington. They have those butchers in every store. They have the produce, they have the meat, they have everything covered at your local Save-A-Lot store.
Their Facebook page says it all to me, offering quality without compromise. That's what you'll find at Save-A-Lot. I go to the Farmington store quite a bit. They've got a great selection, not just of meat, which is cut fresh daily, but they also have great produce and all kinds of canned goods, everything you want from your local grocery store. And it's like your own little personal grocery store and Save a Lot.
It sure is. And make sure you sign up for the customer rewards, find out about great things happening, and save money on groceries. We all need to. And you can do that at your local Save-A-Lot stores. Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Potosi, Park Hills, and Farmington.
Parkland Pharmacy is out to prove that local independent pharmacy is alive and well. We work hard at giving you an excellent experience every time you come to see us. We love what we do, and we would love to take care of you. There's no need to be frustrated with your health care. If you're tired of what your pharmacy is not doing for you, then stop waiting in line and come see us today. We have 6 locations across Southeast Missouri, so Google us to find the store nearest you or visit parklandrx.com. Parkland Pharmacy is a local pharmacy at its finest.
Here are your birthdays for the week of Monday, February 17th. Who do you have for Monday, Mark Tody?
Stuart McMillan celebrates a birthday. He worked at KJFF and was a co-worker with us for a couple of years. Happy birthday to you, Stu Man.
Stu Man.
Greg McCord, Pastor Greg.
Yeah.
Celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday from all of your family. I've interviewed Greg a couple of times over the years. And Denise Huck Fadler celebrates a birthday. I got to know Denise after interviewing her daughter, Miss Brittany. God bless you, Miss Brittany, several times for the walks to end cystic fibrosis. Denise, happy birthday to you. I hope you are doing fantastic.
I have one of our radio brethren, Randy Raley, celebrating a birthday on Monday. Randy, you're doing a great job with the radio station and the music. Have you noticed it's getting a little more obscure, maybe? Like deeper cuts.
They're playing deeper cuts. Yes.
Yeah. And Randy does a great job with that. Was also a sales guy at the Daily Journal for a while as well. And
he mentioned me on his radio program when we all got the ad.
Yes, he did. He mentioned you by name. And then he commented on our picture of us when we took that picture by the fire hydrant in front of the Civic Center. He commented on that too.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you, Randy. Keep up the good work, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Michaela Brotherton, she is a sophomore at Farmington High School, 16 years old on Monday. And I don't know if she's going to take the driving test or not. See, I have a lot of sophomores, so I'm hearing all the driving test drama here lately. And apparently it's gotten harder, which probably isn't a bad thing.
I didn't take my test till I was almost 17.
Really? Yeah. Oh man, I made my mom take me to another place so I could take it on my birthday.
No.
And then I failed. And then Doug Brewster, North County football legend, member of the Brew Crew, the original founding member. Happy birthday, Doug. Hope it's a great day for you. What about Tuesday, February 18th?
Tuesday, Ryan Reinheimer celebrates a birthday. He was a pretty good sports play-by-play guy.
Absolutely.
For us back in the day.
Yeah.
I think he's still doing this, but if you want to see him now, I think you got to go to Main and Mill Brewing because he bartends there part-time.
Okay.
So anyway,
say hi to Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan, hope you have a great day.
Yeah.
He's a lot of fun to work with. Valerie McCoy She was with a group called the Breast Friends, a Relay for Life team, and they did a lot of fundraisers, and I helped MC a few of those. So Val, happy birthday to you from all of your breast friends. And Rick Colton, happy birthday to you, Rick. Got to know him at the Christmas dinner that Chip and Debbie helped put on for years. He had a knife, and we always would joke about it from Crocodile Dundee. That's not a knife, mate. This is a knife. And he had the knife that he would carve the turkeys and the hams with. So, Rick, happy birthday to you, buddy.
Happy birthday to Jeremy Nagger, celebrating a birthday on Tuesday. Happy birthday,
Good
buddy.
football player.
Absolutely. And I guess my most successful former student, Madeline Jones. She was a senior my very first year of teaching, so she got the worst teaching from Jason Lowry. Went to Southeast Missouri State University, got her degree in mass communications, and is now a producer for Channel 12 KFVS, and she's been there almost coming up on a year now.
Congratulations.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Has a great voice and a great writer. Yep, that's her right there. She is super, super good, and so proud of you, Maddie. Keep it up. What about Wednesday, February 19th?
Jim Frago celebrates a birthday. Jim, happy birthday to you. That's from your boys. They are a couple of really good musicians.
Did you know he created the band Frago?
I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but I know he interviewed his boys.
Yeah, he created them in there.
Well, that's true. Yes. He's known them since they were like little.
Yeah.
And Sean Cavanaugh. Now, Sean was originally Sean Grayton and Sean Grindstaff, a school teacher at Kaufman for a whole bunch of years. Then she moved to the Farmington School District. I used to go and read to her class at Kaufman on like Dr. Seuss Day and different things like that. And she's gotten married and moved down south, I think, to Alabama. But Sean, happy birthday to you. I hope you're doing fantastic.
Lynn Fingers celebrating a birthday on Wednesday as well. Happy birthday, Lynn. And Tracy Rimshart with a birthday on Wednesday too. Happy birthday, Tracy. What about Thursday, February 20th?
Thursday, my buddy Terry Leach celebrates a birthday. You may have seen him at Night to Shine. He's with the St. Francis County Ambulance District. Does a wonderful job there.
And when he's not doing that, he's taking pictures.
He does take a whole lot of pictures, that's for sure. Happy birthday to you, Terry. Happy birthday to Kelly Cummings. She works at Unico Bank, and she is a sweetheart. Hope you have a fantastic day. She's a really good ambassador for the Farmington Regional Chamber of Commerce. Her and Jessica Horton, they do everything. Sue Brown, she's also an ambassador for the Farmington Chamber. Sue, happy birthday to you. And Micah Kohlmeyer, happy birthday to you, Micah. I hope you have a fantastic day. That's from your son and from all of your family.
One of the best drummers in the area all time is Mr. David Goldsmith, and his birthday is Thursday. Happy birthday to that big old softy. He'll appreciate that. Happy birthday, buddy. And Michaela McFarland celebrating a birthday on Thursday as well. Happy birthday, Michaela. Hope it's a great day for you. How about Friday, February 21st?
Hey, Friday. Kent Sism celebrates a birthday.
All right, Kent.
Yeah, happy birthday to you, buddy. Hope you are doing fantastic. Golly, he's been with Sam Sism as long as I can remember.
As long as he can remember, too.
Probably, yeah. And also Sherry Wilson celebrating a birthday. She is a postal carrier for the U.S. Postal Service, and I want to say in Deloge, but I could be way off on that. I just know she's worked there for a whole bunch of years. So Sherry, happy birthday. I've known her since she was a teenager, and well, now she's a grandma. That gives you an idea of how old she might be.
Happy birthday to the First Lady of Deloge, Kelly Pasternak, celebrating a birthday on Friday. Happy birthday to you. Mary McGrail with a birthday on Friday. Happy birthday, Mary. And you could say the better half of Brandon Geiler, Julia Geiler, celebrating a birthday on Friday as well.
Yeah, she's put up with Brandon now for what, about 15 years?
Yeah, absolutely.
there's a special place in heaven for you, Brandon. Just kidding, Brandon.
Saturday, February 22nd. Who are your birthdays?
Well, we might as well lead off with this one. The guy who helped us get our start, Chadwick, celebrates
Yay,
his
Chadley.
birthday. Saw a picture of him on Facebook he put up of him and his wife back when they were just sweethearts. Not that they still aren't sweethearts.
Right.
His wife still looks about the same, Chad. He's aged a little.
A little bit.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Happy birthday
Yeah.
to you, Chad. Thanks for letting us use the barn and not tear it up too much.
Too much.
And Jaden Bonner celebrates a birthday. I've known her since she was a high school senior. She just got her college, I think her doctorate or her master's degree, and she's doing fantastic. She's married. Jaden, happy birthday to you. Hope you're doing great.
Happy birthday to the mayor of Bonne Terre, Eric Schoenhardt, celebrating a birthday on Saturday. Happy birthday, Shoney. I think he's assistant principal at North County as well. So, yeah, he's in charge of North County and the city of Bonne Terre. And Linda May with a birthday. Linda, longtime advocate for the Parkland Pregnancy Resource Center.
Yes.
And
She's
always,
a comedian, isn't she?
Oh, she's hilarious.
Yeah.
Very funny, very good singer too. Happy birthday, and very talented kids too. I believe she has a son named Brian May, which, you know, he does not play the guitar.
Not for Queen?
No, but I
Queen
believe
tribute group?
I believe he plays drums, and like he's really, really super good. So happy birthday, Linda. Hope it's a great day for you. And then we wrap up the week with Sunday, February 23rd.
Lots of birthdays today. I got to send a shout out to Rick Cooper. Rick's from the Fredericktown area. He's out in Virginia or West Virginia now. He worked at the radio station on the very first day I started working there.
Yeah, he's got like a whole cluster of radio
Yes.
stations. I want to say in Philadelphia or West Virginia.
He's done much better
Yeah.
for himself than I have, I guess. But does he have a podcast?
I don't know. Happy birthday, Rick.
Yeah, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday wishes going out to Carla Wilson, Carla Braun Wilson. She is a wonderful human being. Happy birthday to you from your daughters, from your husband, and your grandchild.
Yep.
Let's
Lizzie.
see. Nancy Dismuke celebrates a birthday. She was married to Jim for a long time. Nancy, hope you are doing fantastic. Greg Redfield, one of my favorite people that I've gotten to know over the years, celebrates a birthday. Greg never met a stranger in his life. Greg, you are an awesome dude. You have a great wife in Kobe. I hope your daughters are doing fine and your grandkids. Happy birthday wishes to you, Greg. And personal friend of both of ours, who I haven't seen in forever, Jenny Thorne celebrates a birthday on Sunday. Jenny, I hope you have a great day.
She was Jenny Buckets back in the day.
She played basketball?
Oh yeah, she was really good Central Lady Rebel. And yeah, I remember Greg Camp like calling her Jenny Buckets. It was
Nice.
like she had like 30 points in a game. Happy birthday, Jenny. Hope it's a great day for you. Lynn Gerstenschlager celebrating a birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday, sir. Appreciate all you do in the law enforcement community. He wore a body cam when they did one of those deals where they went around and handed out money with the St. Francis County Sheriff's Office. And that was an awesome video to watch. And I remember my kids at Unitech got to edit that, and that was so cool. And then Erica Hampton celebrating a birthday on Sunday as well. Happy birthday, Erica. And those are your birthdays for the week of February 17th. Save a lot of the Parkland there in Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Potosi, Park Hills, Farmington. They have those butchers in every store. They have the produce, they have the meat, they have everything covered at your local Save-A-Lot store.
Their Facebook page says it all to me, offering quality without compromise. That's what you'll find at Save-A-Lot. I go to the Farmington store quite a bit. They've got a great selection, not just of meat, which is cut fresh daily, but they also have great produce and all kinds of canned goods, everything you want from your local grocery store. And it's like your own little personal grocery store and Save-A-Lot.
It sure is. And make sure you sign up for the customer rewards, find out about great things happening, and save money on groceries. We all need to. And you can do that at your local Save-A-Lot stores. Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Potosi, Park Hills, and Farmington.
Do you often ask others to repeat themselves? Is the TV volume creeping up higher? Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Melton, and it could be time to have your hearing checked. Hearing loss happens gradually, making it hard to notice. At Hearing Care Partners, we offer thorough hearing evaluations that uncover even subtle changes in your hearing over time. Early detection can improve your hearing and your life. Start prioritizing your hearing today. Schedule your appointment now at hearingcarepartners.com. At Hearing Care Partners, we listen so you can hear.
Here's your sports on the Parkland podcast. The MAAA Conference basketball tournament held this past week at Mayoral Area College. On the ladies' side, the Central Lady Rebels get a 39-18 victory in the championship game over Fredericktown. Third place game goes to Potosi, a 47-42 win over Farmington. Fifth place game winner is Arcadia Valley, and West County wins the ninth place game. Boys championship, Farmington Knights defeat the Potosi Trojans for the fourth time this season, this time by the final score of 69-40. Third place game goes to Fredericktown. They defeat West County. Fifth place goes to Kingston over Valley Catholic. And in ninth place, Valley of Caledonia defeats North County. Girls District Wrestling from the week. Class 1, District 1, St. Genevieve moving on as they finish second in their district. Potosi comes in 6th, Central 7th. And then Class 2, District 1 sees the Farmington Knights finish at 19th. And there was a wrestling match earlier in the week, and that was at Farmington. The Knights take on Jefferson City and win 36-26. And then the girls wrestling team that night would fall to Windsor 35-24. Moving on to Mayoral Area College sports. Just one basketball game for the week for the men's and women's programs, and that was held on Saturday night. The men fall to West Plains 73-61, and the ladies fall to Crowder 73-68. Two games this coming week and one more after that before the playoffs begin for the MAC basketball teams. Both teams will be in action Wednesday at the Bob Sechrest Fieldhouse, hosting Moberly for a men's-women's doubleheader. And then Saturday night they go to State Fair for a men's-women's doubleheader that night as well. College softball's underway, and the Lady Cardinals took part in the Branson JUCO Jam this past week, going 1-2. They won their game over ASU Newport, but then fell to Johnson County and North Iowa area. Lady Card softball team scheduled to host Southeastern Community College, Rend Lake, and Heartland Community College for the Midwest Clash this coming weekend. The MAC baseball team saw their games canceled for the week. They are scheduled to play at the Coahoma Community College tournament on Friday and Saturday of this coming week. And in area high school football, the Potosi School Board expected to hire a head football coach at their monthly meeting this week. And that's a check of sports here on the Parkland Podcast. Heimberger Construction, HeimbergerConstruction.com. They have been building beautiful buildings in our area since 1978, Mark Tody, and they have those Butler buildings.
The Butler buildings are the best metal building system on the market, and the only buildings that have a pre-punched roof system and standard 360-degree roof seam for their standing seam roof. Jennifer Heimberger, who runs Heimberger Construction, does a fabulous job, and she really cares about the area. She gets involved in a whole lot of things in the community. I know she's supporting a Little League baseball team. That's one of her current things, which is just really awesome. So Jennifer, she's been to a couple of Kansas City Chiefs football games, which makes me really jealous.
Yeah, and I feel really bad for her. I hope she's gotten over the loss.
She's still a little bitter, but aren't we all?
Exactly. Anyways, HeimbergerConstruction.com. Check out the beautiful work they've done, not only around the Parkland, but around the region. HeimbergerConstruction.com, 431-4387. Boozenbark Carpet, Boozenbark Trailer Sales, BoozenbarkFlooring.com, the website, you know the name. They've been at it for so long, and there's a reason why they continue to do it and do it well, because they know what they're doing when it comes to those areas. that they are experts in. And don't just take it from us. Other people have the same opinion.
Yeah, I'm on the boozenbarkflooring.com website, and I'm reading some of the reviews. The whole process from start to finish was very easy. The countertops are beautiful. That was one review. They did a wonderful job with our granite countertops. I highly recommend them. Amazing work with Boozenbark. Oh my gosh. Blair is very professional and an asset to her company. Beautiful place, quality flooring materials and installs. Brock was our salesman and was just fantastic, and I could go on and on and on. Don't take our word for it. Those are actual customers of Boozenbark Flooring talking about how great they are.
Hey, great time to get that project started now to spruce up your home so it's nice and beautiful for the spring coming up when you have folks come over. So check out everything that you can get at boozenbarkflooring.com and wave at us on the billboard.
Yes, I love that.
What's the thing you do? I think you like point or something.
Yeah,
on
well,
that one little
I don't
clip
know
of
what
video.
we're doing, but
We're having a good time. So big thanks to boozenbarkflooring.com. Go check them out today. Let's continue to get you ready for the April municipal election. And of course, the city of Farmington will select a new mayor. And joining us here on the podcast is one of the candidates for that position, a former mayor of the city of Farmington, Mitt Landrum. Thank you, Mitt, so much for joining us. And you're a pretty busy guy getting out and seeing everybody. How's the campaign going?
I think it's going okay. We're still kind of doing some preliminary stuff, and it's hard to tell. Farmington, we don't have polls, that kind of thing. So you never really know. But thanks for the invite, for having me over this morning.
So what made you decide at this point in time in your life that I want to jump back in and get involved and be the mayor?
Well, I have decided a long, long time ago when I was young that I would always spend a significant amount of my life on public things. And I decided that back in the 1970s, actually, and I've done that. And when I was mayor, I was still working. And there were many times when I thought if I could have just had a little more time, maybe to go to St. Louis and talk with somebody or spend a little more time on this or that, it would have been better. And now I'm retired and I have time. And I know what the job entails. And I have it on my heart to do it. That's the main thing. It's not so much that I have any axe to grind, down at City Hall. I don't. It just is, I just have a calling, I guess you could say, to do this.
What were some accomplishments that you were able to be a part of as the mayor of Farmington?
We could be here a while.
Well, I think probably the most important one really is that we passed the smoke-free ordinance, and we got Farmington to be smoke-free. And that was probably the thing that really, and people don't even think about it now because you go into a restaurant or someplace like that, and nobody's smoking. And it used to be there was always a smoking section over here, which was, they had like this over here on this side of the restaurant, you could smoke, but you could smell the cigarette smoke. And it was just unpleasant and unhealthy. And so that was the main one. But we built a new firehouse because the old firehouse, if there'd ever been a real emergency with a tornado, the roof would have fallen in on that place. It was not designed to withstand wind. And so you wouldn't be able to get the emergency vehicles out. So we built a new firehouse that is built to those standards so that we can get our emergency vehicles out. We built a new library, which is something that people in our area had wanted for a long, long time. And the nice thing about that is it tells you something about the town. And that library is one of the things that helps us attract young professionals. If we get a young doctor and his or her family and they drive through town and they see that library, that tells them something about this place. And it gives us a little bit more of an edge. The same with the downtown. The downtown program, I started working on that back in the 70s when I was a chamber president to put the sidewalks in and so forth. And that sells the town also. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to roll the dice someplace and you drive through downtown Farmington, it looks pretty good. In fact, we got McDonald's restaurant because of that. I think Bob Dobsky and his wife, the sidewalks had been in a couple of years. They drove through downtown. They were going to choose either Farmington or DuQuoin, Illinois. They had narrowed it down to us and DuQuoin. And when they drove through and they saw the sidewalks, they thought, this place looks progressive. And so they decided on us. And that was the thing that really got Karsh Boulevard going, which has produced thousands of jobs. And so some of these things that they're nice to have, and you think, well, that's good that we have that, but they actually really help your town. And so it was things like that. Other things that we did when I was mayor, we built a new garage facility for the city, and you think, well, so what? But back when I became mayor, you couldn't get a fire truck into the shed. So if it was January and the truck broke down, they had to jack it up on the gravel in front of the shed and work on it outdoors. And so, we stopped that from happening. So we did that. We built a new warehouse. We paved streets around town. We started the tourism committee to try to market Farmington to the outside world. And they've gone on to do different events and things that I think people are happy with. So those are some of the things that I did back then. I was mayor for 8 years.
So Mitt, the Farmington's been in a growth stage. It's seemingly for close to 50 years now. That doesn't happen by accident. It takes a lot of planning to keep it going. What are your plans for keeping this growth going in a positive direction?
Well, the main one is that the city and the chamber need to combine their efforts and work on a joint set of goals. Right now, and actually for several decades, the chamber and the city have kind of been doing their own thing. But if you look at the history of Farmington, almost all of the really big things that have happened in town have been because they were chamber projects. That's why we have community hospital. It was a chamber project. We got the pants factory, that was a chamber project in 1932 is when they erected that thing, the height of the Depression. The sidewalks, the industrial park, Karsh Boulevard was a chamber project. Every one of those things was done by the Chamber of Commerce, and when you think about it, they were able to leverage somebody else to come in and help us, the state, the federal government, somebody. So the chamber has always had that kind of history, that ability to do it. The city tends to work with bureaucrats. We'll get some letter from some, deputy department, something or other in, DNR or something, and we respond to that bureaucrat. And the city tends to deal mostly with bureaucrats. But it's the combination when we can get everybody to pull together and work on our problems, I think we'll have a much better chance of success. So that's one of the first things I'm going to do. I'm going to head right over to the Chamber of Commerce and we're going to see if we can, get a joint set of goals that make sense for the city, and we'll start to work on them. And I've always found down through the years that progress is a team sport. You have to have a collection of people to do it, and everybody gets together. And fortunately, most of the time, we've all had a good time when we did things. So that's, to answer your question, Mark, that's what I'm thinking that we need to do for the future.
We've mentioned it in our election coverage back in August. A lot of people are concerned. They're curious about the homeless situation in our area. And I know that's something that you put a lot of thought into.
I have, yeah.
Tell us about your plans if elected.
Well, okay, we have a homeless shelter. And when we got that shelter, I think it brought in homeless people. We didn't have as many homeless people around town and before we had the shelters we do now. Well, we're able to help people in that shelter, so that's a good thing. But the downside to it is that not everybody that's homeless can be in that shelter. They have certain rules and regulations, and there's a certain percentage of the homeless population that's mentally ill. And they're here too. They've come in. And to me, that is where you hear all the stories about, and I've heard plenty of them. People will come out of their front door, there's somebody sleeping on the front porch. One of my dearest friends, who I've known for 50 years, had a homeless man try to push his way. He slept on the front porch, and then he tried to push the front door open. And the only thing and she's 85, and the only thing that stopped it was a chain lock, one of those chain things, and he couldn't get through that while she was calling the police. And so I have another friend who moved out of his place at the airport because the homeless were just all over his lot all the time, and he actually sold his house and moved to somewhere else. And that's not the population that's out in the shelter, though, that's doing these things. It's the group that's mentally ill, okay? And you can't really deal with them. You can't say, okay, we're going to put you up and we're going to send you to back and we're going to help you get your life going again and get back on your feet, and you'll get a job and get your own place to stay. That doesn't work with them. And yet, that's where the difficulties come from. So what I want to do is I want to go, maybe the Missouri just Municipal League or some other towns around. I want to find out who's got a homeless shelter in your town, because I'll bet they've experienced the same thing that we have. And we need to get a coalition, get with the chamber, and have a united front where we go to Jeff City and say, you need to do something about this. This is a statewide problem. Whatever it takes for us to solve this problem, to find a way to get these mentally ill people off of our streets. That's basically what we need to do. As mayor, one of the main things that you find out if you become mayor, get on the city council, your number one job is to protect the people of Farmington. And to me, that means stopping having mentally ill people on your front porch in the morning when you get up and go out the door. And so, but that's I think what we're going to have to do. This is something that is beyond all of us as small town operators to solve. We can't solve this problem. It's a state problem. And we need to convince them that we need to have the state step up and do something. It seems like for years they've been withdrawing from doing mental health services. I can remember back in the 70s and 80s, they were deinstitutionalizing people out at the state hospital. They were laying off staff. And the thinking was they had new drugs and they could give somebody a prescription and turn them loose. And, and we've wound up with the situation that we have today where there are a lot of mentally ill people out there. And of course, they're incompetent to take care of themselves. And so they're on the street. And it's time that we got with the state, joined together and got something done on this. And that's basically the approach I'm going to take on it. We just simply have got to act. We can't just wring our hands and say, oh my gosh, this is hopeless. It's not hopeless, but we need to work on it.
So you talked about the relationship between the city and the chamber. What about the relationship between the school districts and the city of Farmington? How would you describe that? Is there anything you would like to do to, make it better?
Oh, I have always been a strong supporter of the school district. I've supported every single bond issue going all the way back to, the 60s, I guess. And I support this one too. And but like everybody, I was curious about why is it they're going to do a performing arts center? That's like the number one question. Why are they doing that performing arts center? They're right across the street from the Civic Center. And what I found out, and people need to know, is it's not so much they're building a performing arts center. They're building a tornado shelter, and they need to purpose that for something. And so they're doing a performing arts center because the only other one that they could use is at the Civic Center across the street. The problem with the Civic Center is it is not tornado qualified. If a tornado hits the Civic Center, the roof's going to fall in. Now, the bathrooms in there may be hardened or something, but that's pretty limited. And so you would have the specter of a tornado bearing down on Farmington and all of these kids just having to huddle down in hallways and stuff. So here, what they're trying to do is build a really strong concrete box, and they're just going to put a performing arts center in it so they don't have to cross the street in the event of a disaster. And so that makes sense to me that they do that. And I was talking with Paul Brockmiller the other day, and he pointed out that you can't take we couldn't take the Civic Center and just beef it up and make it tornado-proof because it starts with the foundation. The foundation has to be built a certain way to have a tornado-resistant building. And so that's what they're going to do out here, is they're going to do that. And beyond that, when you think about how school systems have operated, and it's not just our school system, but every school system, they build a new building with a bond issue, we pay it off. By the time it gets paid off, that building's pretty run down. And then they go out and they say, oh, we need a new building. And they just leave that one behind or bulldoze it or something and start over. And what the school system is trying to do now is saying, well, we don't want to knock these buildings down. That's not efficient. Let's fix them up. And so most of that bond issue is to do repairs and renovations to existing buildings rather than just starting over and building a whole new campus, which I think would be a lot more expensive for the taxpayers. So I think, I think this is actually pretty well thought out. If you really think about it, the high school itself is not tornado resistant. It's just built to ordinary building standards. Even the new field house is. And so they need a place for those kids to shelter.
Another question I have, and I've noticed this is a problem that's been coming on as growth continues in Farmington, traffic, specifically Karsh Boulevard.
Yes.
It can be a bit of a nightmare during rush hour, and then also Highway H around school letting out time.
Yes.
Have you thought about that?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, when I was mayor, we would meet with the school and try to straighten out the traffic. You know, when I was going to school, everybody just hopped on a bus. The better for worse that we all took buses. Well, nowadays, so many people drop their kids off. They actually, every morning, they drive them, and then they go back and pick them up. And so we have this traffic flow that's just, it's like, yeah, and some of the ways in and out of these schools are not very wide. And so, yeah, in fact, I was talking with Kyle the other day about, some of the plans on when I found out about the tornado shelter. I was asking him, okay, what do we need to do to work together on trying to fix some of these traffic problems? And so we started thinking about that. The one thing that we need to do, and it's going to be one of the first things I try to do, is get a stoplight at KREI and Karsh Boulevard. Okay,
That's been talked about for years.
it has been, and you know what? What people need to understand is Karsh Boulevard is a state highway, so the city doesn't control it. We can't say, okay, state, we can't do that. We have to get their permission to do stuff. So fine, and we would go to them when I was mayor. They said, well, nobody's using that intersection. And I would always say, well, it's because it's so bad. If you make it bad enough, nobody will use it, but it doesn't mean it's a bad idea. So finally they relented and said, okay, you can put in that intersection, but we get to design it. And so they gave us a design. Now here they had told us that there was nobody using this intersection, and they came out with a design that was going to cost over $700,000 because we were going to have to put in merge lanes on all four corners, which meant we were going to have to buy property from the businesses. It was a full-blown, high-traffic intersection for an intersection that they said didn't get any traffic. And, of course, it just killed it. And so I was driving along one day, and I was going up to Festus, and I was passing through, Taylor Road or something? It's just south of Festus. Before you go up the hill, there's that stoplight there. And you know what it is? A bunch of utility poles. There's no merge lanes. There's just a bunch of utility poles. And it's been there for decades. And that's got higher traffic than Karsh, and the state's perfectly happy with that. And I thought, we just need to do that. Let's just get some utility poles and string up some wires between them, just like they do there, hang the lights, no merge lanes, and let's give this thing a try. And we could do that for way under $700,000.
And I know that Doug Ross many years ago brought up the idea of the roundabout.
I know.
Is there any possibility of that? Is that feasible?
Well, you have to have a certain size for these things. So, we could look at that too, put that in and just see what the state says about that. The state has tried to put roundabouts at different places, and they just can't fit them in because our streets tend to be narrow, and private property crowds into those streets pretty well. You'd have to start buying a lot of property to put in a roundabout in many areas. And so they just weren't feasible. When that Irish guy set up the town back in the 1800s, I just wish he'd put wider streets, but he didn't, and he's long gone. But he laid
horses can get through.
Oh, he laid out the town, and bless his heart, he screwed up all the surveying. When I was mayor, we were constantly trying to fix surveying errors where and we would find stuff that that actually people thought they owned, but it was in the city property, and we just deeded over to them, like the front wall of their building or something.
Right.
So yeah, but that all dates back to that. It's just part of our history.
Some major businesses came to Farmington under your leadership. What are some things that you've done in the past, or maybe some new ideas?
Well, okay, that's always interesting. That people still come up to me. I have a young man that's come up to me for years, saying, "Let's get a Target. Let's get a Target." Okay, and he just wants a Target in town. And I keep explaining to him, the city doesn't go out and recruit business like that. We go out and recruit industry, but we don't recruit Target. We don't recruit grocery stores. We didn't recruit Schnucks. But what you have to do is make your town so attractive that they'll want to come. But see, it's unfair to our existing businesses that have paid taxes faithfully in town and supported all those Little League teams and everything if we go out and compete and try to get a competitor to come in. So what you have to do is just let the marketplace work. That's what you have to do. We're just going to try to make Farmington as wonderful a town as we can make it, and just let the marketplace do its thing, okay? So if Target comes in, he'll be happy, but it might be because City Hall tried to recruit Target.
How does somebody find out more about your campaign?
Well, I have a Facebook page, and I'm on Instagram also. My Facebook page is Landrum for Mayor. If you will search for Landrum for Mayor, I have a listing of things that I want to accomplish. There's about 10 or 12 items on there. Some of these we didn't touch on today. Maybe I could come back and we could talk about some of these other things because they're a little bit more complicated. I don't know, how much time have we got?
Oh, that's the beauty of podcasts. There's not a limit.
Well, okay, let me touch on one other thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
But go to my Facebook page because I'm publishing stuff, more details on what it is we need to do. But when I was mayor, the State Department of Natural Resources came and told us we had to filter out radiation that was in our water.
I remember.
Okay? And we had no choice because DNR is actually a proxy for the EPA. And the EPA, there's no due process, there's no appeal to the EPA. Here it is, you're going to do it. And I would say, well, what happens if we don't do it? Well, there's an accelerating fine system that they put in, and they would fine the city into bankruptcy is what would happen. And so we had to do it. And so we spent several $1 million putting filters at every pump. Farmington had 12 pumps or something like that at that time, and so we had to buy all of this equipment. And the filters simply are a big pipe, and they've got this gravel-looking like substance in it, and as the water's pumped out of the ground, it runs through the gravel, and that removes these tiny little bits of radiation because it's very tiny, okay? And so it cost us, and then every so often, the same company that sold us the filters takes the old spent filter material, gravel, and replaces it with fresh. And the cost to do that, for them to do that for our pump system, is $50,000 a month.
A month?
A month. $600,000 a year.
Oh.
So one day I was reading in the Wall Street Journal, and here there's this group that says that small amounts of radiation are not harmful to humans because our bodies, creatures on Earth, have been in an environment of trace amounts of radiation for millions of years, and we've all adapted to it. And actually, there's some evidence that it triggers a healing process for tiny amounts of radiation. And that the EPA's method of figuring out how much is too much is totally flawed and is not scientific. And they don't even have any evidence to show that there is damage for tiny trace amounts of radiation. So I thought, why are we spending this money? Well, we didn't have any choice. And so in the meantime, Donald Trump gets elected. And he's like a wrecking ball going through the regulation parts of Washington, D.C., okay? Plus, the Supreme Court eliminated the Chevron doctrine. And the Chevron doctrine was the part that the EPA used to prevent us from appealing it, from having any due process. It was the Chevron doctrine that Congress had passed years earlier that said that when these regulators pass this, this has the same force as if Congress did it. And so there was no appeal. Well, now Chevron's gone. We could appeal this, okay? And who knows, maybe Trump will throw this whole methodology out. I don't know, but it's worth trying because we could save the city $600,000 a year by doing this. And it's not just us. There are entities all across the United States, industry and other towns and municipalities that deal with tiny trace amounts of radiation in their process. And they've been trying to get rid of this thing too. And so what I want to do is join with them and work together to try to get some changes made. What I want to do is have us have the choice, okay, so that we can put this on the ballot and say, do you want us to keep filtering out what I think is a harmless amount of radiation and spending $600,000 a year to do it, or do you want us to just drop it and we'll put that $600,000 to work somewhere else? That's what I want. And that's the LNT argument. LNT is the methodology that the EPA uses to determine this. It stands for linear, no threshold. In other words, you just keep drawing that line down. Even though you don't have any data down in this section of the graph, there's no threshold. See, there's no stopping point. That's what that stands for.
Oh,
okay?
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mayor, we appreciate I'm so used to interviewing you back in the day as mayor. Mitt, we appreciate the visit today. And again, if somebody wants to know more about your campaign?
Yes, go to Landrum for Mayor on Facebook, or you can contact me directly. You know, you can just call, my cell phone is 5737-602727. I had that out there when I was mayor, and everybody said, oh my gosh, you're going to get swamped. No, it wasn't that bad, you know.
Okay.
So, you know, people would call up every once in a while, but that you need to hear from people.
Absolutely you do.
My philosophy of leadership is in there. I believe the mayor is the chief public servant of the city. Okay. Like I said, I believe that progress is a team sport. I believe that we need to join together. I believe that we need to listen to people and respect people when they come down. Okay. And it's it's out there on the internet, on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yes,
Nick
indeed.
Landrum joining us here on the Parkland Podcast.
DiscoverFarmingtonMo.com is more than you ever imagined. You find out about entertainment, dining, outdoor activities, wineries, and more. People say, there's nothing going on around here. They're not looking in the right place.
Yeah, definitely go to discoverfarmingtonmo.com. Just keep up to date with everything that's going on. And trust me, once the weather warms up a little bit, there's going to be more things than you can shake a stick at to do. So definitely, not just a Farmington thing, even though it says Discover Farmington, it'll keep you up to date with stuff going on around on the entire area, whether it's a winery trip or maybe to one of the state parks. Discover Farmington has all the info you need.
And any of the shows and things that are coming up to Farmington, as far as events happening at the Centene Center, things like that, we will make sure that you find out about it courtesy of our friends at Discover Farmington.
We're joined on the Parkland Podcast now by Chris Morrison. He is one of the candidates running for the mayor of Farmington and gracious enough to join us here on the podcast. Council person for the city of Farmington.
Council person, councilman. I've been called worse.
Yeah.
So we'll, yep. So 5 years, Ward 3. So enjoyed my time doing that.
Chris, you wasted very little time when you moved to Farmington and getting involved. You have a list that's a mile long of groups, organizations you've supported. Tell us about some of those.
You know, it started when I came down, and I know it's kind of cheesy. I really embody that. I want to be a good neighbor. Like I want to give more to the community than I take. And it was something that I took to heart, and I wanted to start on day one. My dad was a Rotarian in DeSoto. I remember him telling me about it. So it was something, and both my parents did a lot in the community. So I knew it was something I needed to do. I jumped in with the Rotary Club, and the club has grown over the last 12, 13 years, like, leaps and bounds, but just a great group of people. And we were talking a minute ago, they do so much and don't talk about it at all. And just, they really embody that service above self. So there couldn't have been a better group for me to start with. That and I think my first community service event was the 2012 Country Days. And I think they said, do you want to work the quilting table or the beer garden? And I took the latter. And it was a good experience, but same with the chamber, jumped in and just developing those relationships with people and learning about the community. And I just thought, getting started on the ground, I need to, I don't want to go in and ask for people's business when I've never done anything. I haven't contributed anything to the community. So that was important to me. And the list goes on. It's I enjoy learning, from the hospital board to the board for the development disabled, just all the good that happens and all the good things going on. We just don't hear about it a lot. And it's been awesome. It's been, the biggest thing is just the people I've met, the relationships, the connections. It's been a great experience. And I'm still going. I'm still doing that stuff, no matter.
About the things that you have learned and the experience that you've gained in city government now.
Yep.
And kind of maybe some things maybe that surprise you, like, oh, wow, I didn't know that's how that was done. I'm sure that there's been a lot of that along the way.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I'm like anyone else when you think about wanting something in the city. I wish the city had this. I wish the city had that. And you don't really think about it until you get involved in how many things the city maybe has control of or doesn't have control of, The long joke, right, is we want a Cracker Barrel on the highway. The city needs to bring a Cracker. The city's not really involved in that. They could do some things, whatever, to help developers, but it's learning what they can and can't do, and then learning how it works, learning how the money part of it works, all the good things that that the city does. We have around 160 full-time employees that, man, you see what they do when we have an ice storm. They're cleaning up limbs, our first responders, but there's so many other things you don't see that they're doing. And I think learning that, and learning the things that, as Greg will like to tell you, the things no one likes to talk about, like, sewer projects, water, people don't care about that until they care about it, right? Until something's not flushing. So, I think learning that side of it's been really important for me just to see it. And it also has helped from my, the previous time on boards and on community civic groups and kind of blending the two together. You kind of can see where opportunities may lie to work together with those groups. So
what do you think you could do as mayor, maybe that you couldn't do as a councilman?
I think, in my opinion, the role as mayor, as a leader, right, is just to seek perspective on problems or things that are going on. And then I think my involvement will help in just the ability to work with council to say, hey, I think an example of that is maybe with like the Casa House, right? I was involved with Casa trying to support them. Talking to Joanna, they had a need. They wanted to get a house, okay? They wanted to build that program out. We just had a council meeting where it came up that we had the house they're in now wasn't really being used, and it's just a phone call to say, hey, can you guys talk and see if this is something that could work out? It wasn't me doing it, but it was just making those connections and then look where we're at. That's an awesome thing for the city. So I think it's those things. It's being able to connect the dots, listening to what's important to the council. What's important to them. What do they want to do for the city of Farmington, and what ideas do they have? And I think it's just opening that communication up. It's easy to get, I think, caught in the day-to-day of we got to run a city, and it's a complicated process. But we also have to take a step back and kind of, not just work in the city, but work on the city from a higher level. And I think just being that leader to do that is something that I think is important for us moving forward. Farmington's it's a great community. It's going to be a great community long after me. It's just what can I do to contribute to help that?
I'm glad you said that, because the growth pattern in Farmington has been one of sustained growth. I guess one of the biggest challenges you have as a councilman and as mayor, if you're elected, is to keep it going in the right direction.
Right. And I think the way things have grown or are growing or grew in the past, it's different, right? And we've talked about how companies used to come in here and visit Farmington. Well, if you can get an owner of a business or CEO to come visit this town, they're going to fall in love with it, right? Going downtown, going out to eat, just meeting the people. That's not how things are done today. Everything's done on that computer with data and things like that. So we got to make sure that we're staying on the forefront. I think another thing is that if you look around the state at areas that have seen growth, if it's economical, jobs, things like that, they've looked at it from a regional approach. And I think it's something that we have to do, right? Like we can root against each other on Friday nights at the football game, but like Monday at work, we need to work together. Whether that's Park Hills, Bonne Terre, Jefferson County, we need to look at this from a regional area, because if there's employment, in our neighbors next door, well, people from Farmington are going to work there hopefully, and they're going to shop here and vice versa. So I think looking at it from a regional perspective, just it strengthens the whole area, and I think it's we both can have good things going on. It doesn't mean that Park Hills has something, we don't. I think that's maybe an older way to look at it. And I think together, just working with the other mayors, other councils, city administrators, county IDA, city IDA, just coming together and for a common good.
Do you have any projects in particular that you would like to see roll out? I mean, I'm talking like maybe traffic. Are we putting a stoplight here? Right. Are we doing something there? Or if elected, is your approach going to be more like, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to listen to these people and just kind of grow from there? Is there anything in particular?
Yeah, I think we have some needs. You're looking, look at Maple Valley. There's a stoplight project in place right now that they're doing engineering on right there by Aldi and First State. And I think it's needed. It's a congested area. It's probably a $2 million plus project, right? I mean, these are big ticket items, and that's in an area that we can control. You're working, I think it's important to look at the future growth and, things like Karsh and KREI has been brought up. We're going to have to work with the state. That's not our decision to make, but we can work with them and see, and put that. I think one thing for me that I've learned on council is we have a strategic plan, which we're working on it now to adapt it. And personally, I just want to see if we're going to have something in the strategic plan that we're taking steps to work on it. Not that it's in there, we'll worry about it down the road. I think one thing that's been talked about is the need maybe for a second fire station on the northern part of town as it grows. and I think we all know it. I think it's been talked about for 10 years, but I just feel like we need to make sure we're taking the steps necessary. Maybe that's acquiring the land and then, down the road being ready to build, but just making sure we're working towards it. And, we have great leadership in all departments of the city, starting with Greg all the way down, and they have their hand on the pulse on that. And I think it's just making sure that we're kind of looking into the future on those things. And, and I think one thing that's right, people always talk about the youth sports. There's a huge tournament going on next door, a basketball tournament, right? Why can't we host some of that stuff in Farmington? Why can't we drive people to Farmington to, play, eat, shop, do all those things? Neighboring communities do it. We have the resources. We have the facilities. I think it's just working with those, private partners and doing that. And that's another thing that we can work with Park Hills. We can work with MAC. We have facilities across the county. Why can't we bring them all together and host those things here in our community, in our county? It benefits everybody. So I think things like that, it drives income to Farmington, and it does it through sales tax and things like that, not worrying about real estate tax or other things. A lot of times, our sales tax, if you look at it, the majority of the money we bring in is from people outside of Farmington. Right. And that's a good thing for us, because the other thing is, as we all know, in the middle of the day, Farmington's packed with traffic. Well, that's a stress on those first responder resources too. So we have to keep that in mind as we're growing, right? We all like growth, but we have to make sure we're taking care of it on the back end.
So when you talk about, I'm sure you get hit up all the time with questions about homelessness, with questions about drug abuse and the problems we have with that and mental illness. How do you differentiate between what the city can do and have a direct impact on issues and what is, well, this is a state thing, this is a federal thing, we're going to need to all work on this?
Yeah, I think it goes back to communication on things. Like, there's different buckets of things, right? There's homeless people out there. We need to try to support them where we can, but most importantly, we need to make sure our community is safe. And I think you can do both. And I think it goes back to how we communicate. We got to make sure our small businesses, our residents know what to do if they encounter something where they don't feel safe. I also think there's coalitions out there. I know there's a coalition getting together to support homeless, and it's church groups, it's East Missouri Action Aid. There's a ton of people coming together, and I think the city needs to have a seat at the table on how we can help. And we already are helping, right? We're helping East Missouri with that, providing resources. I think it's letting people know those things that we're doing. We on the adult use marijuana tax, the council decided we wanted to shift some of that money to the school district to provide an extra social worker, because we have a problem in our community now, but we want to help prevent the problem from getting worse. And if we can get them at a younger age and help them when there's issues, I think it's important for us to partner with them and do that. I think it's also educating on, when we see someone who may be panhandling, right, what we can and can't do. Like if they're over at Walmart, that's private property. Unless Walmart calls us to have them removed, the city can't do anything about that. And that's a corporate stance. That's not like the local store doing it. That's corporately how they handle it. Well, I think people could think, and I understand why, that, well, they're not doing anything about it. Well, legally we can't. They have the right to do that. We have an ordinance in place. They can't impede traffic. So if they're up at a stoplight on cars, we can take care of that. At the end of the day, I've helped family through it, and part of the struggle is the hurdles on getting resources and getting help. If you've ever had to help anyone through that, it's a challenge, and like you mentioned, it's a state and federal problem. Like, we have great representatives who do a lot for us, Representative Wright, Senator Henderson, Representative Lobinger now. I think it's working to them and saying, what can we do from a bigger level to help small towns? This isn't a Farmington problem. It's every town in the state and the country, you deal with it. What can we do? And I think there's a balance, and again, we have to have a safe community, but we got to take care of our neighbors too. And I think we can do both.
When people go to vote in April and they see your name on there, they're also going to vote on a bond issue and a tax levy with the Farmington School District. I wanted to get your thoughts on those issues.
That's a complicated one, right? Because you're asking for more money from folks. My wife was a counselor for 12 years. She's been in education. I think one thing that makes Farmington special is the quality of education that we can provide. And so we got to keep putting resources. There's a lot of outside factors. We keep going up to federal and state, but there's a lot of pressures on schools from that side too on some changes that are coming. There's just a lot of uncertainties with public education. And so I'm an advocate to invest in education. I think we have to do it responsibly, right? We got to make sure we're spending the money wisely. And so I think it's something that as a school teacher, you understand what it is. And it's if you look at areas that struggle economically, low median, it comes back to education. That's the number one thing we can do. And education has changed so much, going back to mental illness and all these things. There's a lot of pressure on educators. And making sure that we have the best educators possible, I think, is extremely important. And that's with educators, that's with police officers, fire. We got to take care of those folks and make sure we have the best ones possible. So it's a challenge. I get it. No one likes paying more taxes, but it's and everyone has their own opinion on it. I think, personally, I'm an advocate for a strong education system.
I want to talk about the west side of Highway 67. After years of talking about growth on the west side of 67, it looks like things are actually starting to happen. How important is that side of the highway to the future of Farmington?
Yeah, I think if you look where Farmington can grow, there's not a lot of spots. And I think one thing that's appealing to that is, how close it is to the interstate, right? I mean, it's right there. It's 30 minutes south of Festus. I think it's really important. And again, it's growing that retail base, that side of town. Again, I believe that you don't want to cannibalize. We have great businesses already here in Farmington, downtown businesses, small businesses. I think it's growing strategically. We want to make sure when we're growing, and again, this isn't something that necessarily the city can affect. If a developer wants to come in and do something, they're going to do it, right? But it's working with them. And just making sure they see the appeal of Farmington, which I think they will. I think when you look, we were appealing when people used to come into town and got to meet everyone. Well, we're appealing, I think, on paper too. Just look how busy a lot of our stores are. The Steak and Shake, the Catfish Cattle, all these things. The city's invested a couple years ago, along with tourism, in a program called Pacer AI, and it's just it's what, I don't know if it's exact software, but it's similar software to what these developers are looking at. And I think when you look, visit with Tim Porter in the development office, when you see some of the numbers that Farmington produced, it's unbelievable, because we were shopping, as you guys well know. I mean, people come from all over. I have customers that come in from Marquand, from Piedmont. They're coming here to go to the doctor, go shopping, things like that. And
Going to the city is what.
Yeah, going to the city. Yep. Right. Where there's a stoplight or two or three.
Well, the Civic Center plays a big role in that too.
Absolutely. Yep. And I think, it's the other thing with Farmington. It's, you guys have probably seen it, but when you look at like the top 10 places to hike in Missouri, I mean, within however many minutes, 20, 30 minutes, we have like 7 of the top 10. And when you look at what's important to young professionals, young people now, that's on the rise. Everyone's doing it. And I think, how are we communicating that? How are we advertising it? To know people can come down here to do it. And again, it goes back to that partnership. I think that partnering on that, whether it's youth sports with the Civic Center, just a healthy community, an active community, we're in a good spot for it.
And are those the kind of things that you would kind of focus on to improve that, I guess, digital footprint of the community to attract these new people?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think, when they're looking at communities, the healthcare, you're looking at the school system, you're looking at access. We have a great airport, you're looking at interstates close, and I think 67 is kind of under that. I think it's, Arkansas's got some work to do. There's some things to do for 67, but I think in the future you'll see that probably become an interstate, and that changes some things. So, and it goes back to that regional approach on it. There's a huge development going in Festus, Crystal City now. It's a James Hardie siding plant where they're going to manufacture James Hardie siding. That's why they closed down the Festus airport. Well, the state of Missouri has put millions of dollars in the old port in Herculaneum where Doe Run was at. We need to be at the table on those things. We're, obviously we don't have that facility, but just like when Huffy was here, there's companies that spin off of that, and we're in a great position for it. We have the workforce, we have Mac Tech, we have all these things. We need to make sure that we're up there, talking to those folks so they know we're here. We can't be reactive and just hope they call us. We have to be up there and selling in this community for that.
What do you want people to know about Chris Morrison?
I think it's important. When I look at a leader, like for me, if I'm lucky enough to be chosen, I think it's important that Simon Sinek says all great leaders have empathy and perspective, and I try to do that. I try to seek to understand before being understood. It was a Stephen Covey thing I learned early on, and I've always tried to do that. So, and I think it's all about empowering people. Whether it's organizations, whether it's people within the city. That's kind of what I feel my role is in that. When there's problems, I'll take the heat. When there's good things, let's pass out the praise. And that's just how I was taught. And so that's what I want to bring to the city. And again, when you talk about things you want to improve, it doesn't mean things are bad, right? You just want to push it forward. And so it's just like in sports, right? You could be happy with where you're at, but you can always push a little bit more. I was a team sport guy, so I understand everyone's got to work together for a common goal. And I think we can do that. I think we can enhance some of that and just kind of get in that same lane, and push together.
What benefit do you have being on the council the last 5 years? How does that help you in this race, you think?
The person I'm running against has a lot of experience too. He's been around a long time. But I think the biggest benefit I would say is that you go back 5 years, a lot of things changed like pretty dramatically. There's kind of pre-COVID, post-COVID. You're right. And things have changed even in my time on council. One of the big struggles, we have our own electric department, obviously. Well, like the cost of those materials and the cost when we're putting a subdivision in or other things, it's like quadrupled. And so, there's things like that to keep in mind. I think the understanding of that, like I have these ideas I'd love for us to host sports tournaments, right? Well, we have some other important issues, that like we have to make sure that we're taken care of. I think Greg shared a statistic where if we replaced 1% of our sewer lines, it's like to the tune of $2 to $2.5 million a year. That's to do 1% per year. And if we don't do that, if we don't keep up with that, no one's excited about what's under the ground if they can't see it. But if we don't do that, we get behind, and then you're never digging out of it. And so I think just that understanding is going to help me. I would have had no idea on some of those things if not for the time. And I think it's just the ability to work with the council and bring them together. And I think it's getting their ideas going and just making it a place where we can share ideas and push forward. And I don't have an agenda. I don't have like I want to do this and this. I want to work together and I'm open to ideas and open to what everyone thinks. We serve the citizens. Like we need to listen to them and see what they want and what they want to do.
How does somebody find out more about your campaign?
Yeah, we're on Facebook. It's Morrison for Mayor, and feel free to call, reach out, email. Happy to discuss and talk. Happy to listen. And I think that's what's important is I don't know all the issues, right? I know the issues I see or I've been told, but you may have issues that you know and care about that I'm not aware of, and let's talk about them and see what we can do.
Well, the book. Your opponent gave his cell phone number on the podcast. Do you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. 314-805-4651. I should have a 573 number, but I've had it for like 25 years, and it's hard to give up a number. But that's all right. Yeah. So anytime, call, email.
Where's your business office located at?
I'm down on Columbia Street, 316 West Columbia Street. So right next to Butterfields. They were busy yesterday. I don't know what's going on.
Hey, go figure. It ain't weird, huh?
By the way, I got to shout out 12-year anniversary tomorrow. So my beautiful wife, Jennifer. So I maybe need to run down to Butterfields, huh?
Hey, it's a little cheaper.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, day after prices. That's why we got married on the 16th. Yeah.
Why?
Absolutely. So always thinking.
Chris, great to visit.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Chris Morrison, he is running for the mayor of Farmington and our guest now on the Parkland podcast.
Farmington, Missouri, your destination for a perfect weekend getaway. Dine in at one of our quality restaurants or visit one of our surrounding wineries. Farmington offers a variety of parks and other recreational leisure time activities. See some sights, have some fun, and go wherever your heart takes you. Sounds like a lot of fun, so get a room and stay a while. All this and more awaits you just 60 miles south of St. Louis. Discover Farmington today.
We love music. Music is super cool. We listen to it with our ears. We do trivia about it. we talk about it every week on the podcast. It is the music segment time. We pick out a song, when we pick out an album, when we're also doing our top five faves, not necessarily a top five, but 5 faves, and we have different topics we're doing every week as well. But let's start with your song. What is your song this week, Mark Tony?
Picked it out because I love this song. I have since the early 70s. My Maria is my song. B.W. Stevenson did that song originally. Most folks today know it as a country song done by Brooks and Dunn, but that was originally a #1 hit for B.W. Stevenson back in the early 1970s. Ma Maria, love that tune. Great tune. And of course, in the spirit of great country music, they never met a song that they couldn't turn into a country hit as well. So that's my song for the day and my album, mainly because, well, it's the Rolling Stones, but I love the album cover. This is called Through the Past Darkly. This is how successful the Rolling Stones are. Big Hits Volume 2. This was their second greatest hits. Honky Tonk Woman, Ruby Tuesday, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Painted Black, Street Fighting Man. Have you seen your mother, baby, standing in the shadows? Let's Spend the Night Together. 2,000 Light Years from Home, Mother's Little Helper, She's a Rainbow, and Dandelion on this album. It is fantastic. The Stones probably could have had 5 greatest hit albums and not repeated any song.
Yeah, no kidding. Absolutely. Song, and we should have did this last week, love songs because of Valentine's Day. But I heard this one this morning, and it's a great love song. And that is a song originally written by Willie Dixon, recorded by Muddy Waters. But I heard the Foghat version this morning. I just want to make love to you.
Not what I would call a love song.
Well, yeah, it's got love in the title.
Well, I don't think they're. I don't think they're talking about a long-lasting relationship. It's a great song.
It is a great song. Yeah, I think at one point it's like, I don't want you to keep my home. I don't want you to
move in,
yeah.
Move on,
I
get
just
out.
want to make love to you. So great tune from Foghat, and just love the wah pedal. It's really good stuff. Anyways, album-wise, Mark has presented me with the Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Dallas Taylor and Greg Reeves album, Deja Vu.
Great,
Did it
great
all over
album.
again. And this album is so cool, it doesn't have any track listings on them. Oh, here we go. Oh, look at this. Look at this. See, again, this is the cool part of this podcast and as albums, and all the neat, creative ways they would lay out things on the inside of the liner notes. So, and they're using like a funky font too, where I can't read this to say what songs are on this. Mark, do you remember?
Well, Teach Your Children
good.
on there. There's like a lot of really.
Okay,
really
here we go. I can
tunes.
actually kind of read this. Yeah, Teach Your Children. I need to get my eyes checked. I need to call Karen Milton with Hearing Care Partners to make sure my my hearing is correct, and then I guess I need to go find us an eye sponsor too.
Our House is on there, which
Okay.
is a great tune as well. Country Girl is a fantastic song. Everybody I Love You is another great song. That's a great album.
Yeah, so there you go. From the Atlantic Group, it is Deja Vu, courtesy of Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Neil Young. Let's see, 5 faves. This week's prompt was 5 bands and 5 artists who got their start in the 60s.
Couldn't narrow it down to 5.
Okay, good, because I only have like 3 so far.
I've got down, of course, number 1 for me would be The Who, and
Yeah,
number
sure,
2,
of course.
The Beatles.
Right.
1, 2, but other groups that really stand out to me, there's a lot of good ones,
Yeah.
but Creedence Clearwater Revival, The Doors, Deep Purple, Pink Floyd, Grand Funk Railroad, and The Kinks. I could have put the Eagles in there too, since they started out technically in the 60s as well. But those are just a few of my favorites from the 60s band-wise.
Oh, man, so many great bands, as you mentioned, the Beatles, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin getting their start. And it seems like the British bands kind of roll off the tongue in the 60s, but there were some great rock bands starting in America in the 60s as well. And then top 5 acts, and I didn't quite know where to take this. I didn't know if I was going to make it a rock thing, if I was going to make it a Motown thing, because there's so many good artists, Motown artists in the 60s. But what do you have as far as 5 favorite 60s individual acts?
Couldn't narrow it down to 5 once again. I really like Paul Simon.
Yeah.
I really like Joe Cocker. Janis Joplin. See, now a lot of these artists also were affiliated with the band, but to me they were better known as a solo artist. Lou Reed. Oh my gosh. Lou Reed, Sweet Jane. You can't not have a list from the 60s without Bob Dylan on it. And then how can you leave out Eric Burdon and the Animals, and also Otis Redding sitting on the dock of the bay, if for no other reason. Guys like Stevie Wonder, Hendrix, I mean, I could go on and on.
Yeah, that's kind of where I started with Stevie Wonder and Jimi Hendrix. Seeing the footage of, was he little Stevie Wonder, I guess, when he first?
He was about 14.
Yeah, and I mean, just playing the harmonica and just unbelievable talent, and the music just, and what was the 70s album he did that's got like Superstitious?
Yeah, Superstition, that's a great album.
I know. What a great album, and what great tunes. And then, in the 80s, he kind of did like everybody else. He got a little poppy.
Just called to say
I love you. He made a lot of money on that Sprint 800 number with repurposing that song.
Superstition is still his best song.
Oh, absolutely.
Baby, Superstition.
It's such a great tune. So many great artists started in the 60s. And you had a prompt for us next week. Do you remember what you said? I thought it was a good one.
One-hit wonders.
One-hit wonders.
5 of your favorite one-hit wonder songs.
Oh, my. I thoroughly...
I've already got one picked out, maybe 2.
Yeah, Right Said Fred, I'm Too Sexy, right?
No, that's not one of them.
Oh, okay. Well, how about you go with awesome one-hit wonders, and I'll go with like the cringy one-hit wonders that like get stuck in your brain.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, there we go. Next episode 37 of the Parkland podcast, we'll have Suzanne Baker.
Yes, and we're working on Kevin Engler to kind of preview the April election.
Yeah,
we're working on that. Haven't cleared it through him yet.
We'll probably be able to make it happen, though, because we have very important deadlines coming up. Early voting about to get underway, and heck, it might already be underway. And then the deadline to register to vote in the April election is looming in March. So we want to make sure we get the information out about that. And then coming up down the road, we'll get the candidates for the Park Hills mayoral race. And then in March, we'll have the candidates from the Deloge mayoral race who will be joining the Parkland podcast as well. Until then, continue to stay warm. I guess we got more snow to go through, but hey, that's okay. Listen
Warmer
to the
weather
podcast.
on the way.
Yes, thank goodness. And thanks for listening, downloading, and subscribing to the Parkland podcast.